Hey, hey, hey. Hey, y'all.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome. Welcome.
Another
It's
week.
Thursday.
Family matters. Family matters.
Yes. So welcome, everyone. We got some really great guests coming back with us this week to talk about family matters. We have a new guest on the show who's going to bring a wealth of expertise, and we're really excited. In case you guys missed it last week was really intense as we were talking about families and all the resources that are available to our families. And it's so important that we point out that there's many different sides to families, you know. And so before we get started, I just want to start off with asking Teresa this week, how was your week? Because mine was woof. And she freezing. You there? How was your week?
I know. I see. I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
It's been a week.
It's
Yeah, it's
been a
been a
week.
week. I'm
Okay.
getting through it.
Okay.
It's
I know
it's
we're getting ready
third.
for next week. So you
Can you hear me?
freezing. I can kind of hear you. You kind of freezing this. Yeah, you're freezing up. Remember like a couple episodes ago when we was going through, we was freezing all the
Give
way
me two
through.
seconds.
Okay. So I'm gonna pull in our first guest, Mr. Beard. How you doing
Yeah.
today?
I think I'm on pause. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you. Uh,
I'm
um,
I'm well. How are y'all doing today?
we're good. We're
Good.
good. So every single week, I swear, since we started this, we have had some type of technical something. So now it's just like a joke for us. Now it's like, okay, we got to expect something. And
Right.
so, welcome to the show.
Thank
The
you for
beginning
having
of
me.
technicalities, as we call it.
Yeah.
I wanted Teresa to kind of give you the grand presentation. So just before we get started, where are you from?
I'm originally from Midland, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
It's right outside of Pittsburgh. So if I say Pittsburgh,
Ah,
people can identify Pittsburgh.
are
So
you a Steelers fan?
of course we wouldn't have it any other way.
Yes. That's what I want to hear. Teresa, you there?
I should have wore black and yellow just
Yeah,
to
you should have.
but
Black and yellow.
it's
Okay.
all good.
So I want you to be able to give a little bit of background because as you was watching last week, you were watching Nicole Rogers have a
Right,
conversation.
right.
You were so
Well,
and
I
I
was just
was like,
I,
I'm actually about to send her the link so we can all come on together. But I just wanted to give you an opportunity
well,
to
I
talk
just
about who
want.
you
I was just saying, we gotta. At some point, you have to be accountable for your part as a man, and women make excuses for men all the time when it comes to the mom won't let him see or whatever. For your kids, you're supposed to do whatever you can for them. I don't care if it causes an argument. Let's get this. We can resolve whatever situation we have. Um, for me, just growing up, I had my mother in the home, and my dad. I saw him throughout my life. Like I said, I knew him, but I didn't know him.
are. Okay.
So I said, if I ever have kids, my job is to just destroy any generational curses that I can.
Just destroy any
And
generational
one
curses
of
that
them
I can.
was being a present
And
father.
one of them was
Now,
being
I spoke that I was going to have my kids, and I thought I was going to have them later in life, but I ended up getting them a little bit earlier than I thought. So, I'm grateful, and I always tell people I thank God for them being with me,
Okay. So your
and I
kids
have
been
full
with
custody.
you for how long?
They've been with me since this is their fourth school year over here.
Okay. Do you
Yeah,
pay child
so
support? I know that's personal. I
no,
mean,
I
does
don't.
the mom pay child support? Should I say?
No, I
No.
no, when I'm about to make an excuse, I said you can't get water from a rock. So if I could alleviate any or just help her in any kind of way. Now, whether it be me taking the boys and I handle them, you can go back to school. You see what I'm saying? I want you to better yourself. So if they do happen to come back, then you're prepared to do what you need to do. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, it wasn't for me to go in the courtroom and be like, aha, I got him. Now I want child support. The judge was like, do you want child support? I said, no. She was like, are you sure? No, I'm not going to kick her while she's down. You know what I'm saying? So, I got what I came for.
Right. So we got Lisa on here asking questions. Let me just give a little backstory. So he was actually driving to Akron. He lives in Pennsylvania. He was driving to Akron almost once a week.
Yeah.
I was doing his hair, and he was seeing the kids. He was making sure they, was good shoes, clothes, haircuts, just being a dad, an all around dad.
But that was easy for me because, like, I had great examples as men. Like my grandfather was an apostle. He started churches, and he started one in Akron, Ohio, Massillon. He's been all over he was going all over the country building churches. So for me, I always said, man, he's a phenomenal, he's so giving. You know what I'm saying? My uncles, they're all the same. It's just when you see something like your dad, and I'm sure there's some things my sons are going to change about me, which is great for the next generation. You see what I'm saying? Our job, we're here for a moment, and you get an opportunity to change generations to come. I think that's phenomenal. That's something that everybody should look to do. I don't know if you can hear me. You can hear me? Okay. So that was just one of the things that me personally, it was more personal for me. You know what I'm saying? So.
Question. Well, not question, a statement. I know, and we have child support in our studio right now that we're going to bring on in a second, but I know from talking to a lot of dads, oftentimes when dads have the kids, they don't ask for child support. Yeah. They would rather just take care of the kids. And I want to commend you.
I appreciate that.
I video and sound going in and out. I personally know a lot of men who have raised their children without the usage of support, including my dad. He didn't get any support. Yeah. My mom just picked up and left. So, I was 5. So,
right.
He had no other choice but to raise a child. Well, him and my family. I probably lived with every single one of my uncles and aunt. Right. So, my aunts, should I say? But I understand, a lot of the struggles. Me personally, the dads face when raising their kids. But as moms, because I know Teresa and I talk about this all the time, we would rather kind of be like you and just handle the responsibility than go through the struggle of going down to child support and saying, hey, we need some help,
Right.
Well, and then, like, for me, not to even interrupt, but just seeing women like Teresa or just like I've seen my sisters do it.
Right.
Like there's really no excuse. If you can see a woman handle it without and do it without even complaining, your child support helps.
Yes.
It helps. But these $200 sneakers, I'm gonna need a little bit more than $50 a month for child support. You feel me?
My kids was mad because I was not buying. I have 4 kids. I'm not buying no $200.
This is what they start out at, though.
No.
I'm telling you.
Well, the generations today, right? Because my kids are like my youngest, she'll be 30. Yeah. And my oldest, he's 35. So yeah, the generations today. But back in the day, no, we going to Payless. They don't even have Payless no more, y'all.
No, they don't even see. My son he would probably faint if we went into somebody. Thank God, he'd probably pass. I'm like, Dad, please tell me we're on YouTube. This is a joke. You see what I'm saying? This is how spoiled these kids are.
They
but
are.
you know, you love them and you do the best you can for them.
Yes.
And that's all that matters.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And Teresa's amazing mom too. She's
Oh,
a single
man.
mom, man. She really
She's
is.
dope. She's dope.
She's a grinder. She's a hustler, man. I'll be watching her. I'll be like, you go, girl, because honey,
And
I
I'll
just
tell
thank
everybody,
God
she's
because it's
one
been
of
a
the
time that I
coldest
needed help.
braiders. One of the
It's
coldest
definitely been a
braiders
time
on
or
earth.
two.
yes, she is.
Yeah.
Yes, she is. Look. Yes, she is. All right. I'm going to go look. All right. Yeah. But our other guest is over here looking at us like, y'all is having real fun. But thank you so much, Damon. We really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
you coming because we always need a man's perspective as well, as well as a woman's. I know when Nicole was here, she really just really wanted to get across the message that it's okay to co-parent.
It is.
It's about the kid.
Because it can happen.
Personal feelings.
It can happen. You don't have to take things personal, especially because things don't always work out. Right. And we have kids, you can say prematurely, because I didn't know anything about her. You see what I'm saying? Right. But we got 2 sons together. So now part of them is part of me and the other part is part of her. So I'm learning as I go. And one of the hardest things is meal prep. I'll tell you that as a single dad. Man, yeah. I learned how to do ribs and I'm cornbread, macaroni and cheese. I'm chefing. I'm watching chef shows. I'm cutting up. You know what I'm saying?
We got Mr. Williams here, who I am confident will back you up with meal prep, with taking care of, I have to say children, because if we say kids one more time, I think Lisa Rogers is going to come through this.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Corrected us.
Children.
Yes. Like Children of the Corn. Y'all remember that? Okay. Cheering, as we say in Georgia. Cheering. So, Mr. Williams, how you doing today?
Very well.
Excellent. Thank you for coming. So we have Mr. And you must have a video or something on. It's giving us feedback. You are with Man-to-Man Fatherhood Initiative, right? Man-to-Man. Okay. And then we have Miss Lisa Dolan, who is with Child Support Enforcement Organization. And she's an outreach coordinator to child support. And then we have Mr. John Galanoski. Did I say that right?
Galansky, but you are very, very close. So.
Dog, all I can remember was ski. Shoot. Welcome back, y'all. For real, thank you. Welcome back. So, as we were leaving off last week, and we were talking about all these issues, and of course, our inboxes have been really hot for the past week. I'm sure y'all know. Like, people are like, I ain't know we had a fatherhood initiative. I ain't know child support help with this and that. So, I want to give y'all. Did we ask all the questions last week? I don't think we did.
We went through a lot. There was a few things that we didn't touch on, but we did. We went through a lot of everything.
We went through a lot of questions. The real programs for single dads. We really need Mr. Frank Williams, to touch on that. And someone asked about unrealistic expectations placed on the custodial parents. Teresa, I think you can cover that.
Unrealistic
expectations placed on the custodial parent, because you're a custodial parent.
I just think though, like literally when we say that we was raised by our fathers, that's where this by any means comes from. So when you have children, it's about them.
Right.
So by any means, whatever you have to do to make sure that they have their needs met. And oftentimes you can tell that people are in their feelings about things because the kids have what they want and parents are having, they don't have what they need right now. So just got to keep the main thing.
I agree.
And everybody's situation is not the same. I am very thankful that I have been able to provide for five spoiled. It's no other word. Spoiled kids.
Um,
Kids.
loved, loved.
Love kids.
They're
Love
loved.
kids.
And I'm saying it because I know you personally, and I say this because one thing about Teresa, y'all, is she's setting her kids up for generational wealth. You know, it's something that we try to focus on, is ensuring that our future generations have something
Right.
when we pass over. So
Right.
when we transition, as Lisa, we have to watch our verbiage today because Lisa is all on us today, y'all. Good Lord.
Not me, Lisa.
I'm about to send her a link. She don't play. She don't play. Should child support be mandatory, Lisa Dolan?
Oh gosh, that's such a subjective question. What I do believe, I guess, is that both parents should have a financial obligation to the children.
Okay.
Damien, one of the things you said is you did not, want child support from mom. I see that routinely with men. I don't know if it's kind of a pride thing, but I just feel that both parents have a financial obligation. Is it necessary that it's through child support? No, not necessarily. Maybe the parties get along well and they're both contributing. Because the one thing about child support that it seems to be a complaint from the obligor or the person paying is that I pay child support and they want more money. Well, I can say firsthand, I was divorced, gosh, probably 27 years ago. My ex husband paid child support, but there's all those additional expenses and not even necessarily the $200 tennis shoes. School pictures, driving lessons, field trips, there's a lot more that falls on that custodial parent. So I think that also is part of that question about unrealistic expectations. Um, I didn't go to college till I was 34 years old and got divorced. I was a stay at home mom. So transitioning into being divorced, having to raise two children, not really having an education beyond high school. I mean, there's just a lot. And Teresa, you guys talk about by any means. Yes, by any means, we do what we need to do. But I believe both parents should be contributing financially to their child or children.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree with that.
I agree with that, but time trumps money.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I would rather you spend time with the kids than for you to be digging in your pocket. Don't get me wrong. I'll take the money, but your presence
Yes.
is more important than
And I think that you would hear a lot of moms say that too.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, well, I've had a lot of time to build a clientele. So, but earlier on, I could have, and you get in positions as a parent that you should learn from. I'll never be in this position again. And you prioritize moving forward. And when Christmas is, when their birthday is, when school starts. And, but that's part of handling your responsibilities, like we've been talking about over and over and over again. So, you just plan. It's a lot of planning that goes into this, and communication is, you grow with that also.
Right.
You got to make good decisions and communicate what the
And
kid needs. But go ahead.
I've heard of many times from a lot of the women, it's really not about the money. They would forego the money if dad would be more active in their child's life.
But child support can't help with that. However, when you're bitter, you turn to child support because if you're not going to be here, you're going to pay.
Right.
So that's but it doesn't help with that. So one of the things they wanted to address also was the women who use the child support for things other than the children, um, which you see that time and time again. Is there any type of way that the court system or child support, I guess not, but just
We
could
don't
benefit?
monitor, no,
Yeah,
there's no checks and balances of how that money is spent. Generally, when I have, it's generally a man questioning that, my kind of standard answer is, you know, does your child have their needs
being met.
being met? Not necessarily their wants, but do they have food, shelter, clothing, all of the necessities in life? Beyond that, there aren't a checks and balance as to what's going on.
Yeah, because
And
I can see both sides of that because I have received child support, and when you're doing the majority of everything, like you said, things come up daily. I mean, you lunches and just things come up daily. Even the question of the hair. I have 5 kids, but even my boys are getting their hair done, and those are $50, $60 hairstyles. So that's a perk of me doing hair. But that's the whole expense that people face: shoes and just the things that the kids need. So we have Johnny Roscoe on here. He's saying I see so many mothers that are driving Mercedes Benz, Range Rovers, just different expensive cars with their own hair done, $200, $300 hairstyles, expensive clothes, but the kids look bad. So I can see the other side of it because I know for myself, I'm still holding everything down. And I might have let the kids go to Chuck E. Cheese with the child support money or something. So if they're monitoring it, it might look like I'm not, but it's not a cutoff notice anywhere.
Oh man.
Yeah, but it might look like that in some situations because the custodial parent has a lot to cover. And again, another thing with child support it does cover the. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the utilities and basic things that the custodial parent is obligated to have for the child, right?
yeah, so that's correct. So some of the questions in the chat kind of asked generally, where does child support come from? Why is it a state? So Ohio, each state does set their own child support laws. And Ohio, and some states do it different. Ohio uses what is called an income-based model. So the support obligation is based to an extent on the combined income of the parents. So you take mom's income, you take dad's income, and you combine it, and then there are reductions if somebody has another child. So the support obligation is sort of theoretically, and it's based from a long time ago. If these two people were together, this is how much income would be in the household. Because they're not together now, this is how much somebody should contribute to try to maintain that. Now, obviously, math is if you have two people together and they have that income and they are not together, you've taken their income and divided it by two, right? At least you split it and you doubled their expenses. So really the income-based model can't really compensate for that. You have two households. In a divorce case, you had one household before. You had, two incomes going to pay for that one household. Now you have two incomes paying for two households. So, but the guidelines are basically a belief that based on this mom and this dad's income, this is how much they should contribute for that child or children. So a long story short, because once you give the attorney the mic, they don't give it back. It's an income-based model.
Right. Okay, and then I don't know who can jump in and answer this. DNA. It does. So I know child support helps establish paternity. Is there a way that it could be done at the hospital, or that's just as needed?
Yeah, so there, pre-COVID, we would actually, the hospitals would call child support. We had a woman that specifically was going into the hospitals and doing the genetic testing right then and there. Since COVID, that has not been something that is available. what we have done at Summit County, we have a drive-through DNA testing. So they can schedule an appointment. They come into our parking deck. They never even have to get out of their vehicle. The genetic testing is done. They get a validation so they don't have to pay to park. And, we can keep it going because part of our funding comes from paternity, establishing paternity and setting the support order, which you have to establish paternity before an order can be set.
Right.
So I don't know if in the future it will be available, whether somebody that question is coming from Summit County, Cuyahoga County, whatever, they can actually ask the hospital whether or not genetic testing can be performed for a child at that time. But currently, Summit County, we are unable to go into the hospitals to do it.
Okay.
And kind of to follow up, because we mentioned last week, and I know you have a lot of new listeners this week, right? Because your audience grows every single week because the word gets out. One thing we mentioned last week is the importance of at least establishing legal paternity. So mom and dad are not married, they have a child. It's really important to establish a legal relationship, whether there's a support obligation or not. Really, paternity is important for the child, for inheritance, for somebody's in the military, they could get a military allotment for the child. If somebody passes away, they could get a disability benefit. So, we talked last week about each situation is different, and individuals is different. How people co-parent is different, but every child would deserve a legal relationship with really two parents.
Right. Right. So Ronald Loveday, he has a question in here. I think Lisa, that you spoke on this last week as far as incarceration. I know a lot of people reach out to you about different situations, and I believe that we put the numbers up also for Cuyahoga County. But is there some way that they can alleviate the back pay that's accrued during incarceration?
So it's as simple as getting their order modified while they are incarcerated. Depending on the situation, generally now, most orders I see are $5 to $7.50 a month. So I would definitely do that because then it can come out of your state pay. They're not going to accrue or get into arrears. The other thing I often suggest for incarcerated individuals is completing what's called a third-party authorization. In other words, they can fill out a very simple form giving their trusted family member, friend, somebody authority to check in on their case, just making sure things are correct, calling on their behalf, because obviously during incarceration, the inmate does not have the ability to just pick up the phone and, call, hey, CSEA, whatever. So there are definitely proactive means. And we mentioned this last week. The mistake that a lot of incarcerated individuals make is they do not request that modification when they first become incarcerated. They think about it, when they're ready to get out. Well, by then, to the most extent, that damage is done because we can't go back and retroactively do a modification. I've been in for 4 years. We can't do that. So that's why it's just really important to do that when you go in to incarceration and or giving that third party authorization to someone that you trust to handle your business with child support.
Awesome. So again, handling business. And sometimes in those situations, you might not be able to get out on bail after the said alleged whatever situation. But what you touched on is something that our organization recommends a lot to people that are incarcerated. If you have somebody that you trust, it's awesome that you have power of attorney, especially during COVID, because we were seeing a lot of people that weren't even being notified as far as illnesses, and
Right.
the nurses and doctors can't talk to you. So my son is incarcerated. Power of attorney is important for bank situations, school situations, child support. handling business. So if you have somebody that you trust, power of attorney, awesome. Get an attorney. What else do we have here? What kind of support is available for dads? We have the right people to answer this week. There's a lot of organizations right here. My phone's kind of freezing up on me, but
Frank may want to
Mr.
jump
Yep.
in. Yeah, Frank may want to jump in on this.
Okay. There's all kind of help. Fathers could get the same kind of help that mothers get, but most fathers don't pursue it. For some reason, they don't pursue it. And sometimes, like if you have a partner that just ups and leaves and the guy's not working, he might pursue help. But other than that, guys just rough it out. And they're just happy to have their children. And if they have the finances, they just say, hey, I'm just going to do it. And I'm not going to take advantage of the young lady or anything. I can do it and it's no problem. And they do it.
Damon said. So what type of programs does initiative offer?
Our fatherhood initiative programs, well, we start off by building trust and respect. When the guys come into our class, the first thing we tell them is, this class is like Vegas. What we say in the classroom stays in the classroom. It's very hard to get a man to talk. And the reason why they don't talk is, if you tell somebody your weakness, then the other guys, they'll prey on that weakness. But when you're in our class and you're with the family and you've lived up to that oath, then you can talk. And what you say in that class, it stays in that class. And we believe that. And we've had several guys that just come in and they tell it all. And it's just a great class, and it's a great place to be for men. We talk about conflict resolution. We talk about being able to communicate. And I always tell the guys, you're great communicators because you've had a baby with that young lady and you did some great communicating when you did that. So why can't you go back and use those same skills when you want to do some work with the child? And so I said, let's go back and fine tune those communication skills and see what we can do to stay out of the courtroom. Because if we can work out deals with each other, we don't have to go through the courts and we can be civil about it. But in most cases, so much damage was done that one of the partners are just angry, and it's a chance to get back at the other one. And so we have those problems right there that we have to go into mediation, and it gets real ugly. But sometimes you have to just sit them both down when you're mediating with them and let them know that the child was the one that's important. And if we can take care of this child and give this child a good life, then eventually we'll see just what happens in life and how the child grows because of it. Myself, I was raised with a single mother. And I was raised with a single mother. She taught me how to cook. She taught me how to sew. She gave me self-esteem. And she gave me maybe a little bit too much self-esteem. And I worked at it. And after I went to college on a basketball scholarship, basketball and track scholarship, got married, and I was having a good life. And my wife passed away at age 35. So just like Damien, I had to finish raising my sons by myself. But it really wasn't by myself. I had my whole family help me raise my sons. My mother came and lived with me for a year to teach me the ins and outs about raising a household. And I'll tell you something, just like Damon said, I have a new respect for women in running a household. When you have to sit there and try to put 3 meals together every day, different meals, how to cook a meal and keep everything warm when you get ready to serve it. Man, that's the roughest thing in the world. And going out and buying groceries, and then coming home and washing clothes, and washing dishes, and keeping the household in effect, doing homework with the kids, going to open house. Uh, I remember when my wife first passed away, she used to have all of my underclothes in a drawer and all my shirts and on hangers. And I would go in the drawer and nothing was there. And I go in the closet and nothing was there. And I go, gosh, man. And when I came home from work, dinner was ready. And I said, oh man, I should have gave her a salary for all the work that she was doing. And you take it for granted because it's so natural and it's just everything is there. And I took all of that for granted.
Yep.
And man, when she passed away, I said, wow, I wish I could have her now so I could just praise her for everything that she's doing. And it just goes to show you that the job of a woman is overlooked. And you really don't understand that until you get in a situation like I was in.
Yep.
And I tell you, they're so important to make the household because I was bringing the money in, but that's the only thing I was doing was bringing the money in and playing with the kids when it was good times.
Right.
When I was at work, it was rough times. The boys was fighting each other, having all kind of battles, and she was refereeing the battles. And when I came home, she would look at me and say, "Take your sons and go somewhere." And I didn't understand what she was talking about.
Yeah.
It's a rough job, I tell you. And the easiest part of life is being a dad.
Yep.
Being a dad, a working dad, that is the easiest part of life. Because I always said I would rather work 16 hours a day and have a wife at home than work 8 hours and have to come home and do 8 more hours of work.
Right.
That drains you. Very, very difficult.
Right. Well, thank you, Mr. Williams. So much. Fatherhood Initiative, Summit County, Akron, Ohio, and Cuyahoga County just popped in the house.
Yes.
Hey, represent. Yes, Mr. Grimes. Welcome to the show. I mean, welcome.
Mr. Grimes, how you doing, man?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, good. You know, I was on a Zoom call at 5:30 with CEOCG, which is now called Step Forward, and they had a fatherhood program from 5:30 to 6:30, and I hung up the phone, and I got to messing around cooking some stuff, and I said, "Oh my goodness, there's another program at 7." So I was glad I was still able to catch you guys while you guys were in the midst of the conversation.
Thank you.
And I did hear the last bit of the conversation with a dad saying that being a dad is one of the easiest jobs in the world. I don't know if I'm going to agree with that totally. but no, I'm glad to join you and talk about what we do,
Yes.
and what I do is, I fund about $1 million in programs a year to help fathers be there for their children, both financially and emotionally. Because we know you can be there all day with the money and buying presents and things like that. But if you're not there when kids need to talk about something or when something, somebody's bullying them at school, there's going to be something missing. So, there has to be a balance there between being there for them both emotionally and financially. So we try to provide a range of services, from parenting classes to helping with jobs to a boot camp at 9 hospitals for new dads. We have a program where we go out and talk to teens about not becoming a dad until they're ready. So we try to meet dads wherever they are in the lives of their children.
Thank you.
So that's kind of some of the background. We have about we serve about 7,000 fathers a year through our programs. We have a Fathers Walk to School program in the fall. We have about 200 schools now that participate in that, and that's that's all part of our encouraging fathers and moms to be involved in the educational lives of their children.
Thank
And
you.
we have about 20,000 dads a year that participate in that. So, we serve overall in the neighborhood of about 30,000 fathers every year. So we think we're making an impact. And, we know how important it is, not only for fathers, but for both parents to be involved in raising their children.
In Cuyahoga County, how can the public access the programs, Mr.
Well,
Grimes?
they can access my programs in two ways. They can call my office directly at 348-3967, or we have a 211 line that runs through United Way that they're answering the phones 24 hours a day. So if a dad has a need to call at midnight and he just wants to say, hey, listen, I need some help with this. I just thought about it. I've heard your ads, your radio ads. I've seen your billboards. I'm reaching out for some service. They can get service 24 hours a day.
Thank you.
So
Thank you
that's
so much.
yeah.
Thank you
That's
for
so that,
joining.
that's how people come in. And like I said, right from the beginning, we've been doing radio ads, doing some billboards, doing some kiosks and stuff, just to keep the idea in everyone's mind that fathers, we do want you to be involved. And in our program, we get a lot of calls in our office, about 2,000 calls a year. And a lot of times the calls don't come directly from the fathers. They may come from a mother who's saying, listen, I want my son out the basement and I want him taking care of his babies. Or, it might be from or it might be from a cousin saying, listen, my cousin is, you know, he's got this child, he needs some assistance, or brother or sister. So the calls come from everybody within the community who either has somebody, in their family that needs help, or they have someone within their community that they know wants to do the right thing, but just needs some help in getting there.
Question: do you collaborate with the other counties like Summit County? Because we have Mr. Williams here as well. So we have two representatives, one from Summit County and one from Cuyahoga County. I love, if everybody knows me, knows I love to collaborate and I love to bring people together and make that connection. So
Yeah, we do. As a matter of fact, I've helped, since we kicked this thing off 17 years ago, I've helped a lot of fatherhood programs get up and going in other counties. And what happens is, like, if you're in a county like Cuyahoga, where my radio ads, not only, through ZAK and 107, people hear ads not only from Cuyahoga County, but from Blake County, but Summit County. We always want to be able to refer them to services where they're available. Now, I have a lot more influence with, people like child support and Department and Children and Family Services in Cuyahoga County. But I like to be able to make sure that there's a similar service in one of the other counties. I can refer them to a specific person in that particular county. So I guess the short answer is yes. And we work with fatherhood programs not only in Summit County, but in Franklin County, outside of Dayton, Cincinnati,
okay,
all around the state.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Dolan, can you tell us about what services child support offers? And then when you get through, I like to talk to our other Lisa, who was writing us when we first started. Look at that mouse.
You're muted.
Okay, Miss Dolan, Lisa Dolan. Yeah, she's muted. I got
There we
you.
go.
That yes, the services that child support does provide. We provide location services. Generally, we're looking for dad most of the time, or if dad has custody, we're looking for mom. So location. We establish paternity. We establish support orders. We collect and disperse child support payments. We enforce the child support orders. We do review and possible modifications of child support orders. That's pretty much what we do provide. The things that we don't really do that people sometimes don't understand is we don't have the authority in visitation and custody issues, nor do we help or have any say so in a divorce or establishment of alimony or spousal support that it's known as. We do not offer or dispense legal advice. We do not represent either one of the parties, or, as we talked about, we cannot dictate or verify how support is spent.
Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. You are really appreciated. So I heard about the citizen circle. You know, Bam wants to be there. And Mr. Frank Williams, you know, we had a nice conversation, but John is real quiet today, y'all. John was just talking last week, but he's sitting there observing.
It was
You
all
threw
lawyer
all the
questions
questions
last
to the
week.
attorney last week. So I took all the time. For those who weren't with us last week, I monopolized the time, and now I'm getting wisdom, a lot of wisdom. So I am absorbing it, and I'm very thankful. So the one thing I wanted to say, though, is Frank Williams is a very modest individual. His program covers it all. I've gone, I've attended different sessions. It's how do you tie a tie? Some of us take things for granted. Somebody didn't show someone how to tie a tie. How do you interview? He used to videotape people as they were interviewed. How would you conduct an interview? So it's really A to Z of life. And I think another thing that's important, the programs for fathers are available, whether you're in a relationship with somebody or not. The goals, the aspirations, the hopes that we have is that, everybody would become a better parent than they are, right? So you don't have to be involved with the court system. You don't have to have a child support case or not. The programs were designed to help everybody go in the right direction. Did I do okay, Frank?
Thank you, John. We also have 211 through the United Way in Akron also. And our location is Faith Temple Church right off Lovers Lane and 701 Selvin Avenue. And we have classes every Thursday all year long. And the classes are free. And matter of fact, we pay you to come to our class. We give the guys $15 in gas cards to attend our class if they're on time.
Wow.
And before the pandemic, we used to feed the guys because we always felt that a guy can't learn on an empty stomach. So we used to feed the guys also. We also have we have a little baby doll there too. And we have this one session where we take the baby and pass it around just to let the guys know what it's like to hold a baby and how gentle and precious a little baby is. And we do everything to try to help the guys to learn how to handle children. And we also, one of the things that we really talk about is being in control of yourself. And if you're in control of yourself, you got half the battle won.
Right.
Because we talk about guys that make decisions. Sometimes you can just say somebody might step on your foot and you're reactive. And we always tell them reactive people end up in jail most of the time. And we try to teach them to be proactive. And a proactive person and a proactive parent is the best kind, because something happens and a proactive person gets a chance to think about the consequences. And once he thinks about the consequences, then he acts. That's the kind of fathers that we have in our class, and that's the kind of fathers that we make. Proactive parents.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I wanted to emphasize what the lady from child support says that they don't do. See, people need to know that in the state of Ohio, if a child is born to unmarried parents, custody goes to the mom. So you can pay child support, you can establish paternity, you can sign the affidavit, but you do not have the right to custody and visitation in Ohio unless you take the one additional step. So child support can't make that link. All right. They can issue support orders, but they can't make that link. So what we have to do is make sure that fathers know what that you have to do that and how to make that link, who to go to, how to start this process to have your legal custody and visitation. So you got two things involving parents. You got custody and you got child support, but they operate in two different systems. So somebody has to make that connection between the two, and that's a big part about what we do. And I like what Mr. Williams said about taking control of yourself. We get calls all the time from from mothers and from fathers that say, "Well, she won't let me see my child." Well, what I say is, listen, you have to know the system. You know that if you have a child and you're not married, that you have to go down and file for your custody and visitation. And if you end up being a non-custodial parent, you have to pay child support. If you do the things that are within your control, no one else has the control as to say whether you can see your child or not. Now, you got to take that extra step if you're not married, okay? But I tell people all the time, if you don't want to take that extra step, how deep is your love? Because parenting is going to be hard work, but it's not an easy job. So you may as well get used to, putting in that extra time and doing what you have to do in order to be on equal footing. See, the less you do, the more control other people have over you. The more you put in terms of doing things that are necessary, the more control that you have within yourself and your own situation and your time with your children. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I had to add that because
No, we appreciate that.
Yeah, that
Thank
was
you.
important.
yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of people, a lot of people don't, a lot of people
Yeah.
feel like, hey, if the child is born, I'm paying child support, I automatically see my child.
Right.
Not true if you're not married.
Thank you. Lisa Rogers, how you doing today? We can't hear you. Unmute yourself. I can't unmute you. Oh, I
Hi.
can. There you go. Hey,
Hi.
how you doing?
Well, how's everybody?
Um, I'm good.
It's
Hi,
Thursday.
hi to all the guests.
Hello.
I had questions that were in the comment section, but I guess the host did not read them. So maybe she can possibly go back up to when the show first started. But
Miss
while
Rogers.
she's looking for my 4 questions that I was asking to the panelists before she brought me on, I'll go to you, Lisa, first, and I'll be creative with my questions since your name's Lisa, because we're creative. So, what's the most unique modification you've seen in your experience that came through where, I know that it's not a legal part, but a modification that was in your circle as a case for some time, and the modification was actually granted on behalf of maybe the party, whether it was the mom or a dad, that in your heart you felt this should happen. And it was maybe a battle of a modification case.
Well, I'm going to use my own case. And the reason why I'm going to use that is, like I said, I was divorced around 26, 27 years ago. So my ex-husband, um, his, he had an affair with his secretary. So what would happen would be things like, I wouldn't get my child support because she'd forget to pay or she'd forget to sign the check. They knew that was my only source of income at the time. I had a very premature son. Anyway, so I needed the money to raise my children. Well, they would do really shady things trying to protect him. The owners of the business had happened to previously have been my very best friend in high school. So things were weird. Anyway, long story short, I did my own research. I mean, obviously, I knew some of child support, but I did my own research and I looked for there's in the Ohio Revised Code, there are deviations to the guidelines. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Child support can't deviate, but boy, the court can. So I started doing my homework and researching. And what the employer did was way back when my ex-husband and his what became his wife, the secretary, they would get like a $10,000 a year bonus. And bonuses that are routine can be used in child support. Well, what the employer was doing was giving the woman, his wife, a $20,000 bonus and him nothing, because then that kept his income low.
Right.
So, as part of, like I said, doing my homework, I went to court and I said, I explained because I knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I got the first case in Summit County where they actually looked at household incomes. So basically, it's even
Ah.
just the biological parents, okay, which would have been me and my ex husband. But because of the benefits of remarriage, the way the employer was given a lot more money to her,
Mm-hmm.
I got one where they looked at household incomes. Well, obviously, I'm over here kind of suffering, and they're over here with a lot of money. So that modification,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, it just happened to be my own case.
Girl, it's still a
But
modification.
correct. But
Thank
that is probably the most unique one because there were all these hidden facts and things that I knew because he was my ex-husband, you know. So yeah, there
Thank
are
you, Lisa.
Interesting.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I want to be that kind of person calling in. So let me go to. I can't see the names because there's like um the one that just did this. I apologize.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. That's who I wanted you to go to.
All right. I saw your question. I tried to address that a little bit before. So child support is a matter of state law. It originated and it's separate and different in each state.
Of
So
course.
Ohio uses an income-based model. It takes the income of the parents, but it is a matter of state law. Some states just do sort of what does it cost to raise a child? Like the military gives an allotment. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter who your spouse is. You know, you get an allotment for that child. But Ohio uses an income model. It is traditionally a matter of state law. But I know we only have a couple minutes, so I want to take personal privilege tonight, and I want to say happy birthday to my wife, Tavia. I love you. I'll be home soon. And thank you. We have two beautiful children and an adorable grandson. So I want to just put that out on the record. Go ahead, Lisa, with any questions.
Okay. So you're an attorney?
Yes.
Okay. What happens if a client comes to you, a potential new client comes to you, and it's a week before her child's 18th birthday, and she traveled from another state and just moved into the state where the deadbeat parent happens to be, and then she happens to just find your name, and you have some good reviews on there. You know, you probably paid to get the bad ones taken off, but you had enough good ones that the client decided to retain you for that one. It's a week until the child's 18 years old, and the client can produce to you following the deadbeat forever, trying to get him to be responsible. Would you take the case? And what, how, and then if it went past 18, wouldn't that be a contract dispute between the two parties instead of a child support issue after the child is 18? Because it's out of the jurisdiction of child support at that point, correct?
So I work for the county, so I don't have private clients. So I used to work in the child support agency. Now I'm in the
pretend that you did, that you do.
Just pretend that I did. So the support, the arrearages are still owed even when the child turns 18. The law used to be that as long as the child was still in school, the support obligation would continue on until the child graduated, but that was changed until 19. But the arrearages that are still owed are deemed to be owed. So somebody can't run out the clock, basically.
Well, this would be a new case. It wouldn't be an existing. It would be a parent coming to you as a new client, a new
before
case.
the child
just moving to Ohio because that parent wants to really find this guy, this absent parent. And now she has, and she comes to you. But because it's a week before the child turns 18, how would you handle that?
I think
refer her to someone else? Or would you
I wouldn't refer. I mean, I couldn't refer to anyone, but the person should apply for services and try to establish paternity. There could be I think, and I actually had a case where there was a pilot who kind of did what you said. He evaded service, was in Texas, basically tried to run out the clock on the system, and we were persistent, meaning the child support agency, and we kept on finding him, following through. And in that situation, the person got a back child support order. So, but each facts and circumstances are different, so it's hard to give a answer without knowing all the facts and circumstances.
Well, I'm a paralegal. I work for two different lawyers, right? One is he's the greatest, and the other one, he's just an asshole, but he's still an attorney, and so I work for him too. However, as a paralegal, I know what I would do with this case. Even if the asshole attorney, he would be the one to say no, and I would still prepare it anyway because I like the person. And he would just, because all we need is your bar numbers anyway, right?
Objection.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, child support something. Okay, I want to go to the guest kept calling children kids.
So yeah, that is actually, my phone was messing up in the beginning, so you didn't catch, I didn't get the chance to give an introduction. So this is actually Damian Bird. He lives in Pennsylvania, and he's a client of mine. He was driving from Pennsylvania to Akron almost every week to see his two sons. Yeah, so it might be a pop soda thing, cousin. Nice. It might be a pop soda thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did hear you, Damian, say that it's better when the parents can get along because it makes things better. And then I heard I think Tamora said sometimes when the parent is bitter, whether it's the mom or the dad, that creates an issue and all of these things. But I really liked everything that you were saying earlier.
Me too.
Say that.
Yeah, he is phenomenal. He is phenomenal. And we wanted to show that side of it. We touched on a lot of topics last week, as far as even moving out of state with your kid, the medical part of it, establishing paternity, just so if you have a child whose parent is in the military and they pass, or just to set everything up so that everything is decent and in order. Child support in general helps with a lot of other things other than financial. Even having a mediator, dropping a kid off at school on Monday and the other parent picks them up from school to stop the friction and arguing, so we can take ourselves out of the equation and focus on the kids. So I think this has been another productive week.
Absolutely.
Productive hour.
Very, very productive.
Thank you, Summit County, for coming through. Thank you, Collier County, for coming through.
Y'all know I'm celebrating.
Right. So a lot of resources. There's a lot of help for dads.
Posted on our page too.
Yes.
Thank you, Lisa, for putting me under cross-examination. Attorneys always like to be cross-examined.
Hey, can I add one thing?
Sure.
Just coming in late, we quit using the term deadbeat dads a long time ago because it does not help the situation whatsoever, because we're trying to make sure the parents can do what they can do.
I understand you have a 501c3. A deadbeat parent is what it is. It is a deadbeat parent. There is no cutting around And it's not everybody.
What he's saying is it doesn't help. And I would say in my experience with
It doesn't.
25-year-old
It's not every
kids,
parent.
you got to
It's
let
not
people
every
grow
parent.
up. You got to take responsibility that you had a child by that person and
It's
let
not
them
every
have an
parent.
opportunity to
But
grow
some
up.
parents are deadbeats, and so
But
Okay.
that narrative does not help them
it's not
become a
every
better
parent.
parent.
Right. It's
That's
not
what
every
he's saying.
parent.
So that's why
Exactly.
he's saying exclude that word.
And what it does is it causes friction between
Mhm.
parents who want to go to child support and be involved in the system. There's enough friction already because some parents have the idea that the child support is just punitive because some parents are willing and able to take care of themselves. But because the law says you can't pay somebody directly, the father has to go through a third party
The
system
mother or the
to
mother.
get you
Right.
or the
Yeah.
mother,
Parent.
Yeah.
but in most cases, it's the father that has to go through a third party system to give the money to the mom to get the mom to the money
And is
to
that
the
why you're
child.
so passionate? Because most of the time you're saying it is men. Because you're
It
passionate.
is.
I
Yeah,
It
see it.
is,
definitely.
man.
I
I
can
no, you
see
know
it
what?
on the
I'm so
parent.
passionate. I'm so
It's a
passionate
parent.
because
It's not
I
the father or the mother. Child
no,
support is for the man or the woman. Lisa, is
yes,
that true?
exactly. But the majority of the time, it is the man paying child support. I'm passionate about it because I've been through the system.
Hmm.
Fortunately, I was in a position where I could pay child support and do some other things for my children. And my children, getting it from me, knew exactly who it was coming from. And me and the moms work well together. That's not the way it is all of the time. So
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
you have a custodial parent and you have the absent parent. You don't have the term deadbeat is something that people
Sometimes it
want
could
to.
be the custodial parent that's the deadbeat.
I'm sorry.
Sometimes it could be the custodial parent that wears that. I'm not going to say hat because then it makes it a masculine, right? That
Okay.
parent. I don't want to put it on feminine and masculine. I just want it to be a parent. Because
And there's a
Exactly.
lot of that now. There's a lot of women.
yeah, I mean, but
There's a lot of grandparents. We talked about that last week also. There's a lot of grandparents that are raising kids. So
I think
everybody collectively needs to do better for the children.
I think
Everybody.
collectively the negative terms need to be placed in a different place. And that this right here, this show right here, and at this moment right now, that's not the time for this right now. What we can do is we can come back here again
Okay,
and have another we can come back and have
Julia.
another conversation. But right now, we're not gonna use that term because we're
Tell
trying
Judge
to move
Julia.
forward. We're
I
trying
mean,
to
it
help
is
our
what it
fathers.
is. We all have different opinions,
We
and
do, we
I don't
do.
use
But
that that's a negative word.
we strive really hard to make sure that that's the reason we have the fatherhood initiative at the table right now, is to ensure that our fathers are heard and our mothers are heard as well. And that's why child support is here. That's why we have an attorney here, and that's why we have a dad here.
I'm just a guest. I just that's all.
Yeah.
Right. That's all.
So that's why we have all types of people here.
Right.
So
It's my
but
opinion.
we appreciate all of our guests. Lisa, we appreciate your opinion as well. We appreciate everyone. Thank you everyone for coming. We appreciate y'all, a wealth of knowledge. We have on our page, on By Any Means page, we have posted all of your contact information. I will send it to y'all in your email. It's just a little picture that we sent out. And basically, it had your basic information. If you want anything else added to that, uh, let me know. Please let me know, and I will add it to our little information sheet that we're sending out to our public. Damon, we really appreciate you coming.
I appreciate y'all having me.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. And happy birthday, Tanya.
Yes, happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday to
Bless
Tanya.
everybody.
My guests, please don't leave. We're going to end this broadcast. Another excellent week. I'm kind of feeling that we probably need to continue on a different day of the week and continue to talk about families. And so it's something we can all talk about in the future. But again, thank you everyone, and we appreciate y'all. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our viewers. We love y'all. We will see y'all next week. We got some. It's all about health matters next week.
Yes.
We got some excellent guests coming on talking about health, talking about fitness, talking about what's it called? Meditation.
Mm-hmm.
So, because it's a stressful world we got going on here, and we really need to be able to handle the stress levels that we have going on, especially during the pandemic. And so we want to concentrate more on mindfulness and being able to control that. And so we appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all soon and hotel.
Thank you.
Namaste. Namaste.